Welcome back to another tips and tricks. And to this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about drop shot fishing. One of the really cool things with the Humminbird Electronics is actually vertically fishing and seeing the fish on your graph and using a drop shot to place your bait where you can actually see it on the graph. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how to rig up your line and what you're actually going to see on that graph. You'll actually see your swivel, your bait, and your weight, all three of them on that graph. But the first thing we got to do is we got to get our rod. And I've got my old Dobbins DX701 spinning rod, finesse rod here. It's an awesome little rod to vertical fish with. You can set that thing out there and you can just sit here and you can actually see that little bait jiggling on the screen there. The big thing to do is to run your line through it using our little dial accelerator reel there. Got the drag set perfect on that thing. So I mean, when you catch one, you can feel it. You've got your main line here, and you can either use fluorocarbon, mono. I have used braid. Braid helps your sensitivity. Use a real small diameter braid, like a 6-pound diameter braid. Because what we're going to do here is we're actually going to take our main line. We'll get in our little box here. What I use is a little swivel. Get the smallest little swivels you can buy. You can barely see these little suckers. What I do is I get me some leader material. This is a 6-pound test here. Cut it off there. We got us a little piece of 6-pound. If you tie your polymer tie your swivel to your leader first, you can use a polymer on both ends. If you tie it to your main line first, you will have to use some other kind of knot. So what I always do is, for quickness and easiness, and because I like the polymer and I've had very good success with it, is I'll tie it first. You just put it through there, put your line through both ends, pull it through, pull it down, moisten it a little bit, take your tag in, take your scissors again, and cut your tag in. That gives us a leader with a swivel, as we can see. The next thing you'll want to do once you have your swivel on your tag line is to take it, run your other main line through the swivel, both directions. To your polymer, but then you want to grab your leader and pull it through. Now you've got your swivel on one end. Moisten it. And moistening is very critical on this light line because you don't want to burn your line and damage it. I've thrown this all the way down on the 2-pound test and everything, so that burns real easy. Next we've got our swivel now attached to our leader. The next thing we want to do is get our hook. What I like to use is one of these little Mustad Ultra Points, the Kale style hook. So, not want to come out today, but use one of these little hooks like this. What that allows you to do is tie it to the line. And I use that same polymer knot. But this time you got to be very critical. You want this hook setting straight up and down. So you want the line to come down through the hook eye, come down, look at where your swivel is, come back up from the bottom, straight back through. Pull your line so you just got enough to do your polymer. Then you're going to want to hold your top line up, your bottom line under, come through, like that. Hold your hook up and pull it down. This way your hook is setting straight up and down when you put your bait on. The last step is to put your weight on. I like to use the Elite Tungsten product. They build several different sizes of drop shot weights, and they actually have two different styles. I personally like the barrel style because if I'm vertically fishing in treetops and stuff like that, the smaller size actually will come through them treetops. Like down at Table Rock Lake where we fish big deep cedars with the fish suspended in them, these smaller barrel style will come through it. I like to use the lightest weight I can get by with for the depth I'm at. The deeper you fish, the faster you want to get the bait back down, the bigger your drop shot weight can be. If you're fishing in open water, you'll want a bigger bait because you're going to cast the drop shot out and work it back. But where we're vertically fishing, we're just going to drop down. So I'm going to choose an 1/8 ounce here, the little small one. These are very simple. If you look, they've got a keeper built on the top. You just put the line through there and just pull it straight up, and it'll hold the weight on the end. That's basically all it is to hooking up a drop shot, and it'll fish vertically like that. Weight, hook, sinker. You will actually see all three of those on your Humminbird graph. For a bait, I'll use a different assortment. I like this little creature style bait. It's a little small profile. You can also get into like a 4-inch. This is a crosstail shad by Jackal. If you're going to rig this, you can use a little tiny worm. What I like to do is like Texas rig it. Bring it through the nose. You want to make sure that bait's setting flat. So you want to come out the bottom, bring it up, spin it, let it come over. But what I like to do, instead of coming back through like a Texas rig, is just slide that thing in the side of it. And if you'll watch, this bait, we've got all three right there. Our weight down here at my fingers, the bait in the middle, and the swivel up at the top. That's basically all it is to setting up a good drop shot setup. This bait will sit here and you'll see it jiggling like this. You just kind of shake your rod just a little bit and that old bait will jiggle. But it'll lay there just flat perfectly in the water. It's an awesome technique to catch fish vertically. Open water, when they're suspended just off the bottom a little bit, you can cast a drop shot out there and you can just kind of work it like a little shaky hand. You just bring it back a little bit, set it there and shake it. One of the things I like to do is I'll take these bigger weights in spawn and I'll actually use them on a bait caster, and I'll actually set that bait up off the bottom where I can sit there and shake it, and that bait's right there in front of that fish and it drives them crazy when they're on their beds. I hope that helped you a little bit. Check out the great weight products from Elite Tungsten. They're a very refined product. The keeper on it, I've never had a problem with it pinching or cutting line like some products I've tried. It's got a swivel in it to help keep that bait. As you're dropping it down there, you don't want that bait getting wrapped up and getting curlicues and making it harder to cast. Swivel on the bottom, swivel at the top will allow that bait to fall down and not wrap up, and make it a lot easier and a lot simpler for you to catch more fish. I hope that helped you. Check out the Elite Tungsten products and tune in next time for more tips and tricks.